Oh, hello there. You might wonder, what am I doing? I'm lighting up a candle. The 1-year anniversary of lockdown. It's not of the whole, CV, because it's been more than a year since it appeared, but the lockdown, at least for me, and for most of for most of the people around me in my life, everyone has started lockdown on the 10th of March 2020. There we go. Let's add some extra light. Thank you very much. Focus now. Perfect. This is gonna be just a talking video in which I'm gonna ask you guys some questions, and I would be very grateful if some of you would reply in the comments and tell me what you think. And I'm just gonna, tell my thoughts. Say my story, or say my thoughts and tell my story about how the last 365 days have been. 10th of March 2020. 2 days before that, or 3 days if I'm not wrong, they have announced that we will be going into lockdown. And I remember I went to the gym on the 9th of March. I actually have a photo from the gym from that day, expecting this to be, I know originally it was supposed to be a couple of weeks, but I was expecting it to be around a month, maybe a month and a half. So I was going into the lockdown with the mentality of, you know what, this is going to be taking longer than what they're saying, but I'm willing to, bear with it and, go through it easily and actually deal with it. So for the better of humanity, the better of myself, the better of hospitals, the better of all the vulnerable people. But soon after, that was not the case. It became bigger and bigger, and it kept growing, and then it hit the US, and then it hit basically every place in the world, maybe besides, I don't know, New Zealand, Finland, and the countries that managed to deal with it well. And that's when it started getting scarier and scarier. And the whole toilet paper thing happened. And do you remember when the toilet paper hoarding was a thing? And when you would go to the shops, I think I even have a vlog when I went to the shops, and the shelves were kind of like full, but like they were empty on some places. Like that was a weird part of 2020 if you think about it. And think about 2020 as a year. This was only early March, and we had already went through the Amazon wildfires and the World War III scare we had in early January, I think. And then the actual biggest thing of 2020 started impacting our lives. 2 weeks turned into 4 weeks, into 2 months, into 4 months, and then boom, you were in the middle of the summer, and we were all like, oh my god, what is happening? And then at the end of the summer, we had like 3 weeks of freedom that just rapidly ended, and then life was really, really weird. Even 6 months ago, even 8 months ago, even now still really weird, but 365 days ago. So I guess one of my first questions would be, where were you on the 9th of March? What were you doing? What were you expecting? Were you actually believing it's gonna be only 2 weeks? Because I've seen all the people online, I was like, oh, 2 weeks. Like, I knew it wasn't gonna be 2 weeks, but for sure I wasn't expecting it to be a whole year, more or less. Were you? Are we going to be done with COVID in a year? Like 365 days from today? Is the virus going to be completely gone? Like, I'm hopeful that the lockdown will not be a thing anymore, but is the whole virus going to be gone? It was like August, and people were starting to schedule events and concerts and parties for October, November, and then they all got canceled, and then they got scheduled for February, March, and now we are in March, mid-March almost, and now they're getting scheduled again for October, November. I kept seeing these videos from Wuhan, which is where the whole problem started, more or less, and they didn't go back to previous life, but it's what they're doing there is still something that resembles more of a normality than the lockdown that we have been experiencing over the last 12 months. Like, why can't we go back to something that resembles normality? And I kind of really want that, because I've been getting really bored. Like the first 7-8 months of 2020 lockdown, so not of the year, but the lockdown, I was okay. Like I was going through, I think like my life was getting way better because I got rid of like some really annoying things, and not annoying, it's like some really bad things in my life. So I was getting like to a good point, but after the first 7-8 months, so I think this was like, I don't know, maybe around Christmas time, or maybe, yeah, around Christmas time, I was starting to get really bored and tired of all this. And I know I was fortunate enough to go on holiday for like 3 weeks, so that was great. And I know I was fortunate enough to do that, unlike most people that weren't able to do that. So I don't want, like, I can't even imagine if I wouldn't have been able to escape for like 2-3 weeks, even though, yeah, Turkey was also under like quarantine and masks and strict rules, but it was still something different than just, you know, these 4 freaking walls. I'm really bored, and I have been feeling very, very, very bored and, you know, creatively drained, because there's no creativity to come from if the only thing that I do and I'm able to do is maybe go for a jog and, I don't know, be in front of the computer 24/7. What do you do to, like, you know, keep your mind fresh? Like, are you guys reading? Are you guys watching movies? Like, I gotten bored of watching TV series. I've gotten bored of watching anime. And to be honest, I've kind of gotten bored of playing video games lately. Like, there's nothing for me to do because there's no purpose for me to do those things other than, you know, I'm relaxing. But at the same time, although there's not much to do and I'm relaxing, I still kind of feel like I'm more tired than ever before. And that makes no freaking sense, because comparatively to what I was doing before the apocalypse commenced, I'm not doing anything. And I was doing all those things, and but now I've been like in this lethargic limbo that kind of drains me. Is there any advice you guys have for me and for anyone else reading the comments? What can you do to actually feel more alive during this anniversary? Again, I'm fortunate enough to be able to see my mom, but then there's people that haven't seen their children, their spouses, their parents in so long. Like, I haven't seen my goddaughter in over 6 months now, and she's like last time I saw her, she was 1.5 years old. Now she's almost 2.5 years old, and you know, like, that's a big part of her life. I'm also thinking of all the people, like I said, that haven't been able to see their children, haven't been able to see their parents. Like, how are you holding on to this? Like, are you okay? I know it's just a vague question, but I hope everyone is fine. And I know we will get through this. It's just a question of when. And the other question is, what does actually getting through this will mean? Like, what will life be post-lockdown? Because workplaces and offices are probably going to not be the same as they used to, because, you know, companies are saving lots of money for people working at home, but people working at home struggle with mental health and focus, and, you know, just variety of going to work, socializing at work. Like, the social life of a lot of adults in today's day and age used to be work colleagues, bosses, the work environment was most of their social life. And now that we've been isolated from that, and that has been taken from us, a lot of people's social lives is well, basically non-existent, or way more limited than what it used to be. And that's obviously something that's been a very big challenge. And I'm really wondering, because I know for a fact that companies will kind of like continuing with home offices or alternatives to work environments that we were used to do before. How is that going to long-term affect everyone and everyone's social life and social skills? Because when you live in a bubble for over a year, what will be like tomorrow, it's more than a year since lockdown, you change. And then I guess that's fine for me. I'm 20 something years old. If you're older, you can adapt. It's only 1 year. But I'm trying to think of all the younger people. Like, you know, you're a 10-year-old child going to school, and for 1 year you've been to school maybe a combined 15-20 days. Like, how does that feel for you? Because that's kind of the point in your life where you are getting used to socializing with people every day, with different people, with new colleagues, with doing different activities, and having lessons online is not the same thing. So if you're younger, like if you're under 20 years old, how has, you know, that change impacted your school or high school or university life? Because I have friends that have so many struggles with university life, and I can't even imagine how it would have been for me in drama to be in uni during a pandemic and not being able to go and actually act. And I have friends in the field in university that are working like in the film or in the arts or in the graphic design or in things that you need to be there to work hands-on, but you can't because obviously, and that's such a pain in the ass for them. Like, it's not as easy as other courses that, you know, you maybe could adapt to working from home. Like, and how about the whole health of the society? You know, like, we live in the 21st century. Our society overall is not very healthy, with exceptions of people that keep on working out and being fitness cool, more or less. But people, even those people couldn't be as fitness cool as they were before. And then the people that were slightly unhealthy before have become even more unhealthy, or the children that were unhealthy, you know, they didn't even have that 1 or 2 hours of PE per week. Like, how is all of this going to affect life in the future and long term? And you know, what will the effects be 10 years from now for the people that for a full year didn't really do anything other than, you know, get unhealthy mentally and physically? But I guess these are all things that we will come back to in years and decades. Look back at this whole lockdown year. Hopefully was not gonna reach 2 years. Hopefully 1 year is all it takes. And then, yeah, we will answer these questions and hopefully we will not be affected that much. But I guess that's all for my rant video. I guess happy birthday. Not to the lockdown itself, but happy birthday to every single one of us who has been struggling and going through this 1 year. So happy birthday to all of you. 1 year of lockdown. Let's hope we'll sort this out soon. Thanks for watching, and see you next time, whatever I do. Stay hydrated and stay happy and healthy.